Like wise, maybe
Hopefully we
May-ish.
By the end of next year, I think we'll be.
I think, yeah. Be good right now on the design, past meeting and direction. Yeah. Yep, by the end of the year, hopefully, time frame.
Rounds on department heads, goals in the for a couple agencies.
is that after you retired?
Say no.
Nice that,
Unfortunately.
I did a little consulting after I retired. I did some expert.
Tennessee. I'm just heading back yesterday to testify in a murder case. So forth. It didn't take a lot of tech skills. Is that the name of it? Arch. And doing.
How you doing?
I'm excited.
Does.
Yeah.
When we started to go down,
Case,
January 2006. Watch it.
Did it end up getting a serious, that part?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have you'll be able to do a soccer or something. Yeah. You still have you still have that version, or do you need me to send it to you?
I don't think so. I don't know. The last time I got it, it was rolling.
Oh.
Yeah.
It was the last time.
Still have this one?
Okay if I call this order? Okay if I call this order?
It's not changed much. No.
Call to order. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. With that, let's start with a roll call.
Okay, Dennis Clear, not here. Jim Datzman.
Here.
Steve Ernst.
Here.
Dave Fear.
Here.
Matt Lundgren. Here. Tim Manello. Not here. Dave Plout.
Here.
Nicole Tracy.
Here.
Janet Voris. Not here.
Out of here.
And then we have Holly. Holly's here.
Ollie.
Scott's here and Doug's here.
Okay, wonderful. So let's see here. Actually, so before we even approve the minutes and get into anything else, let me explain what we have the ability to do and what we don't have the ability to do tonight. Prior to approval of minutes and tonight's agenda, and then on the specific items of the agenda, which as you can see when you came in, you had the ability to kind of see what we'll be discussing tonight. I see that there's a lot of people here who would like to address the committee, and we do that in the very beginning. And so I'm going to allow citizens to address the committee, but I'm going to do so with a couple of reminders. This is not, I think I have an idea of why we're here and what talking about. And because it is not on the agenda, it is not something we can discuss. Okay. You can go ahead and provide an opinion and address us, but we are not able to respond to you. We are not able to do anything else other than have citizens of the community address us on any subject they want. Okay. We are going to limit your time to 3 minutes. And I will also ask that if there's because we have done this before and we're not going to be voting on anything tonight, I'm going to ask that we kind of, if it's the same opinion, that we group together and agree that person is expressing my opinion, rather than have everybody say it over and over again, because we cannot do anything tonight. Okay? So with that, and before we get into the other parts of our meeting, I'm going to, let's go ahead and open it up and allow citizens to address the committee. To do so, will you please go over there to that podium? And we will start the timer and allow you to address us on anything that you would like to talk about.
Say one thing first, that I'm getting feedback there. There's no sound on Zoom. Is this meeting on Zoom?
I wonder if, well, no,
Nope, he'll fix it up here. Thank you for letting us know. They'll fix it.
can they hear us now?
Hold on.
Somebody got through.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get going. And if that continues to be an issue, we'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Parks and Recreation Committee and everyone. My name is Doug Tao and I live in Lincoln on Green Ravine Drive. We all have a basic understanding of golf, regular golf. Golfers, in their effort to reach the hole in as few strokes as possible, do their very best to stay in bounds, stay out of sand traps and water hazards. But we watch as even professional golfers mishit their balls, going left and right and into bunkers, the water, out of bounds, well, all over the place. Except for the water hazards, players go and recover their golf balls. This committee and some city officials have been giving preliminary consideration for a disc golf course to the Auburn Ravine Nature Preserve. City officials have been corresponding with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, seeking preliminary opinions regarding permitting. It appears to me from city communications that at this time the city has identified the nature preserve as perhaps the best site for a disc golf course. I would argue that it is the worst place for a disc golf course. There are protected vernal pools and wetlands within the nature preserve. The Army Corps has stated that human activity must not encroach within 50 feet of these protected sites. If just one vernal pool were the size of just this room, that protected area would be over 11,000 square feet, almost a quarter of an acre. Let's say that a golf disc was misthrown, like a golf ball can be mishit. Many of these, among the thousands of discs played, will unintentionally go into the protected boundaries, leaving only two terrible choices. Go in and get the disc and be in violation of the law and destroy habitat, or leave the disc inside where it would become a blight. And as the sun, water, and heat break down the plastic, release toxic chemicals into the soil and water. This is just one of many legal, practical, budgetary, and neighborhood issues arguing against a disc golf course in the Auburn Ravine. Please eliminate Auburn Ravine as a potential disc golf site. Thank you for your time.
Hello, thank you for letting us address you tonight. My name is Marcia. My husband and I just moved to the city of Lincoln this year. We chose the city of Lincoln over other areas in Placer County due to what seemed to be an active, well thought out city development plan that focused on all aspects of the community: commercial, residential, parkland, and nature preservation areas. We chose a home near the Lincoln Crossing Nature Preserve, AKA the Auburn Ravine Nature Preserve, for the very reason that it is so rare for a city to have such a wonderful area dedicated to natural wildlife and plant life. Now the city has started the process to site a disc golf course that would utilize the 63 acres of the nature preserve. We are not against disc golf as an activity within the city of Lincoln. We actually like all the sports that the city of Lincoln has basically allowed within the city limits. What we want is a venue that is more appropriate For instance, Rockland has 6,000 participants and parking for over 300 cars. In addition, they have restroom facilities, none of which is available within the nature preserve. Mostly, I have several concerns within the sports venue because it is supposed to be protected in perpetuity according to the deed of gift. The definition of a nature preserve is an area of land managed to conserve wildlife or plant habitat by keeping the area safe from injury, harm, or destruction from harmful human activity. There are 3 problems with the city of Lincoln attempting to site it there. The disc golf sports venue threatens nature preserve habitat, threatens species. Property tax owners in the area are currently paying additional tax assessments for a protected nature preserve. And the disc golf threatens health and safety of not only wildlife, but the visitors and the pedestrians to the preserve. As a resident and taxpayer, I asked the city council to develop plans for alternate locations. Again, we think disc golf could be well sited somewhere else that would actually be quite the draw. I believe a properly sited course could be developed with the volume of parking necessary. Doing so would be a great boon to retail businesses. There are other speakers here who will propose alternate locations for that, just not in a nature preserve. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just say that the audio is okay now?
Thank you.
Thanks for the heads up.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Can I go or is it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I don't have anything written down, but I got some notes. My name is Mike Villanueva, and I moved to Lincoln in 2003. We bought our house on 1452 Green Ravine Drive, right on the Greenbelt. And we bought that house because it had 1/3 of an acre, beautiful expanse across, and you know, if you've been out there, you know how pretty it is. And so that was our expectations. So it was a nature preserve, right? And I walk that area every day and I read the signs, nature preserve, nobody getting out, no bikes, no walking, no dogs, any of that stuff. And so now we're talking about putting a golf course or whatever you want to call it, disc golf. That really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So one of the things I've noticed too is when I started, we moved in, there was all kinds of wildlife. There were deer, there was all kinds of small mammals moving around. Different kinds of birds. Red-winged blackbirds, gone. And that started with the dog park, and we saw those disappear. So we're just going to make that a whole lot worse. We bring more people in that are just going to ruin that area. So I think what's important is what's the city thinking about in doing something with their reputation? I love what the lady just said about coming to a nice area, trying to promote the beautiful natural resources we have here, and now we're going to try to change all that. And I've done, like some of the other speakers has done, I've looked at the Army Corps of Engineers, some of the things they've said and done. I happen to have some familiarity with EIRs, and I can guarantee you, when you start changing these kinds of environments, there's going to be lawsuits. And maybe I can't afford to initiate a lawsuit, but I can guarantee you get enough people concerned about that. That's going to cost you folks that are trying to promote this some serious money if you really want to push that forward. It's going to cost the city money if they want to move forward with that. So, and the final point is I really find it kind of almost a lie, if you will, this idea that encampments are in this area where this golf course, golf course, call it what you will, is going to be. I walk the area every day. I walked it this afternoon. The encampments, and there's one, it's on the other side of the creek. There's no encampments in that area. So the idea that this golf course is going to eliminate that is just a fallacy. It's a lie. And so I really plead to the, I know you folks can't take the action, but I think it's a good opportunity to get that word out that this is the wrong time, wrong place for this. Got to be a better location. So thank you.
Thank you.
Zelinda Melville, resident of Lincoln since 2004. The Lincoln Crossing Nature Preserve in the Auburn Ravine is a habitat for the Swainson's hawk, burrowing owls, vernal pool fairy shrimp, Chinook salmon, steelhead, and numerous other wildlife habitats needed for their survival. We have taken pictures of burrowing owls on the ground, Swainson's hawk fly, nest, and forage in the nature preserve. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife mission is to manage California's diverse fish, wildlife, and plant resources, the habitats upon which they depend for the ecological values and their use and enjoyment by the public. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife has listed the Swainson's hawk as threatened species. This listing was based on loss of habitat and decreased numbers across the state. The burrowing owl and Chinook salmon are species of special concern. The Placer County Conservation Program the City of Lincoln partners with is designed to ensure that the land be managed to continue to support the survival and well-being of the covered species, as well as the survival of hundreds of other species that are dependent on the same habitat. PCCP has deemed the Swainson's hawk, burrowing owl, steelhead, Chinook salmon, or vernal pool fairy shrimp, all covered species. September 6th, Mr. Greg McKenzie, PCCP Administrator, Placer Conservation Authority Executive Director, met with Scott Boynton and advised that the project did move forward and Swainson's nests were in the area, they would be subject to review and authority of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife Service at a minimum. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service mission is working with others to conserve, protect, and enhance fish, wildlife, plants, and their habitats for the continuing benefit of the American people. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service deems the Swainson's hawk and burrowing owls as bird species of conservation concern are protected by the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. The steelhead and vernal pool fairy shrimp are deemed threatened species, Chinook salmon as species of concern. We're not opposed to disc golf in Lincoln. We're opposed to putting a disc golf course in the Lincoln Crossing Nature Preserve and the Auburn Ravine because it will destroy the Placer County, California state and federally protected habitats of the Swainson's hawk, burrowing owls, vernal pool fairy shrimp, steelhead salmon, steelhead trout, Chinook salmon, and the numerous other wildlife dependent on the same habitat.
Hi, I'm Pat. We've lived in Lincoln since 2018. I'm for disc golf in the right location. I don't believe that disc golf or any sport belongs in a nature preserve. As the Sierra Club has stated, they believe that the change from open space to a disc golf course will have a strong negative effect on natural resource. My focus is on the damage to tree and soil. Tree health. The preserve is home to a unique balance of habitat that has remained intact for many years. Disruption will lead to tree root damage. Tree roots are sensitive to any environmental change, such as soil compaction, increased irrigation, and heating. Oak roots are associated with beneficial fungi that resist pathogens in the soil and aid the absorption of water and minerals. The fungi are easily killed by changes in the soil. Activities that damage roots and disturb the soil include grade change, trenching, pavement, and compaction. Severed roots also can occur. To keep native trees healthy, it is important to know that trenches made within 10 feet of a large oak is known to be very damaging. Soil compaction causes suffocation from lack of oxygen, the inability to retain water and essential elements, causing death or gradual decline. Impermeable soil, including concrete pads, restrict the amount of air, water, and mineral available to the roots, ultimately leading to their death. Soil compaction via frequent human traffic and or heavy equipment create increase over time, cause increased damage. Imagine what 6,000 people a year would do. Speaking of impaction, the area is also considered a floodplain. Soil compaction will reduce the infiltration and storage of water, increasing any floodwaters to spread. Damage to surrounding plant and grass life, including tree bark integrity. As a result of frequent foot traffic, the forest floor becomes muddy and lifeless. Tree bark is cut, damaged from the discs, allowing harmful insects and disease to enter. In time, a tree will die. I believe that disc golf can be enjoyed by many people. I don't believe that the Auburn Ravine Nature Preserve is the superior choice for the game. And I'm hopeful that Parks and Recreation will uphold the preservation of the community's resource for years and generations to come.
My name is Jim Passadori. I live on Auburn Ravine. And I'm going to speak of a concern with parking and traffic flow on Moore Lane and the surrounding neighborhoods. I believe that traffic will be increased in that area due to disc golf. Disc golf includes regular play, tournaments, and weekly club and league play. Moore Road is not wide enough for parking on both sides without impeding traffic flow. Our neighborhood, Allenwood Green Ravine, was not designed for increased traffic and parking. With parking on both sides of the street on Allenwood, it becomes a one-lane road. This makes it impossible for cars to pass going in different directions. It will make it difficult for emergency response, fire, police, and ambulance to make it into the area without delay. Parts of Green Ravine has the same issue. I have visited several disc golf courses in the last month, and I found Johnson Springview has close to 500 parking places. I recognize that's shared with other venues. The street, Fifth Avenue there, is wide enough to have parking, a bike lane, and two-way traffic. It's quite different. Orangevale, Shady Oaks has more than 100 parking places dedicated almost 100% to disc golf. I'm asking, has consideration been given to the effect of additional parking on Moore Lane regarding emergency response into the area? Many people use Moore Lane between Joyner and the sidewalk trail. Families, joggers, cyclists, people doing family pictures, and more. Moore Lane will become too busy and unsafe for them. Has there been consideration for ADA compliance in the area? The trail and dog park have many folks from Sun City that use the ravine. They depend on parking as close as they can to the trail to make access. There are only 15 spots on Moore Road parking area. I believe that added can greatly affect emergency response on Moore Lane, especially with overflow parking into our streets in our area. This and more regarding parking and traffic should be looked into, in my opinion. There's a lot more that I could speak to on this, but staying within the time doesn't allow that. So hopefully you will consider parking, traffic congestion, and the increase will come with disc golf. Thank you.
Okay.
So I don't need to take your time up there. I just want to let you guys know, my name is Nathan Johansson. I'm with Oak Creek BMX. I saw BMX on the agenda for tonight. Scott, I think I met you out at that point. So I just want to be on hand in case you had any questions during the discussion. I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, is there anybody, other citizens wishing to address this? All right, well, we spent the first 25 minutes so far, and so I'm gonna limit this to two more. If we're all of the same opinion, that you guys are against it, and again, we can't do anything, how about we have two more comments, and then I invite you to stay for the rest of our agenda that I think you'll find terribly interesting as we review things such as BMX bikes and facility projects and field usage.
We also have to open it up to Zoom, if anybody on Zoom wants to comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay, thank you. So I'm Alan Rubino. I live on Allenwood Circle, and I look out over this beautiful ravine, which is a nature preserve, as you know. And I moved up here in 2005 with my family, and we chose Lincoln Crossing because of the nature preserve. And we look out onto a beautiful open area. So I look one direction and I see trees. I look another direction, it's open space. It's been absolutely lovely. We paid an additional $30,000, the home site that we have. And, you know, it's, yeah, it was kind of funny. Here's the little story. So my wife was up here cruising. They hadn't built homes on the different sites, but she looked at the lot looking out and she said, I don't care what model of home they build there, that's my lot. But here's the problem. Because I visited other disc golf courses, as many of us did. I went to a couple in Rockland, I went to one in Roseville, one up in Auburn, and I talked with people walking along the sidewalk. Interestingly, first of all, none of these disc golf parks were directly adjacent to homes along the edges of them. They were all part of other recreation areas, which is as I think it should be. But there was consistent comments by the people I talked to walking the sidewalks. They said that, I said, so how is it? What is it like? They said, well, it's like continuous drinking, shouting, smoking pot, and other disturbances. They said that their view was, and I say this respectfully, please, but the disc golf course brought in a class of people they were not fond of having in the neighborhood. And again, I say this, you know, because this is what they told me. And they said that another daily problem they highlighted was parking, and I think we've discussed parking. But I live on Allenwood. If we have cars parked all over the place, it's a one-lane street, as what my previous speaker told you. And then they also pointed out that the clanking frisbees hitting the chain goalposts resulted in constant noise. So it was a complete annoyance. So the one other thing I would point out is there's potential liability for the city. And I'll pass this around if you want. But this took place in Torrance in Southern California. There was a woman hit by one of these disc golfs in the eye. She sued the city and won the lawsuit for $3 million. And even though the insurance picked up a part of it, the city was still liable for $500,000. So, you know, what I'm telling you is that, again, we're not opposed to disc golf as a sport. Oh, the one other thing is, in the years that I've lived here, there have been 7 complete floods of this open space.
So you've met your time limit.
Pardon?
You've met your time limit.
Okay. So let me just say thank you. We're not opposed to disc golf as a sport, but we feel that it is not appropriate for it to be located here among the wildlife and directly adjacent to the homes. So thank you for your consideration.
Actually, I'm here on a different item.
Okay.
Is it non-agendized item?
Non-agenda.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Mike Garabedian. I lived for 3.5 years across from Joyner Park. I came to give the committee an update on the Joyner Ranch East development that was approved by the city, 199 units right across the street from the sawmill log deck and at that corner of Joyner and Nicholas on the southeast corner. So the project applied for its water quality certification from the state. It also has to approve taking of habitat and wetlands and so forth, but it hasn't been pursued. So apparently they're going to have to reapply for that. So I want to talk about this from 2 points of view. I'm seriously concerned about the impact on Joyner Park and also on the sawmill. The residents love that park. I went around showing people it and asking them. They had all kinds of other ideas, whether it was a new baseball diamond or rose garden or various things that they felt should go there. That would be a wall of houses along the entire east side, west side of where that path is, next to that path, which would affect the light and the enjoyment of people and the kids playing there and all that kind of stuff. So, but I'm also very concerned about the sawmill and the potential impact of this on the sawmill. Serious concern because, you know, that we have real problems in the woods. We need to get salvage logging out of the woods. We need to get overgrown and thin woods taken care of. And if that mill is eliminated, it's going to increase the fire hazard throughout the entire log area that is served. So, you know, what can we do about this? This is going to have a lot of noise. I'm a forester, so when I saw I could live across from near the log deck, I was quite pleased. But I'm not sure that people are going to like when it's foggy that the air is lit up, or the odors from it, which I like because I try to guess which tree is being milled on a particular day from the way it smells. The sounds I'm used to. It's an industrial area. And the city, unfortunately, rezoned it from commercial to allow this kind of housing. So there's also a biomass plant there. You know, the Rio Bravo down in Fresno has a lot of opposition to biomass of that as a kind of diversity issue affecting the people. So we can affect people objecting to the noise and the light and that potential effect on the sawmill. I mean, to make a new sawmill, what's $1 million? Is that going to happen? But I came here to talk to the people on the committee, just to let them know that there are some issues back before the city again, as to go to the city council. And they're just, the kids who grew up there, they saw wildlife, they're used to that area to be able to play and have the sun on the field, from the field that would be turned into this development. And that entire field did have an area on the south side where there was multiple.
You met your time limit.
Okay, anyway, thank you for this opportunity, and I'll be glad to talk or answer any other questions.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Steve Navarro. I live on Allenwood Circle, and I back up to the Nature Preserve. Took some time to review the general plan and maps of our town to figure out if there's some alternative sites that we should be considering for the disc golf if we are to have one. First couple sites, good thing about them, number one, Robert Jimenez Park, probably one of the more viable locations as it has parking, it has bathroom utilities, it's a blank canvas, no habitat concerns, and there are no infringed neighbors. So from a cost and utility perspective, that should be a viable option. Land south of the open space south of Foskett Ranch Regional Park has existing parking, existing bathrooms, also a blank canvas, and no infringed neighbors. South of 12 Bridges Road, northeast of East Ridge, AKA Orchard Creek or Coyote Pond Park. Far more spacious than what is being proposed, can be much, much further away from any homes. And it's also connected to a second possible site for an extension of McCormick Park. Plenty of elevation shots, which is an added bonus for golfers, whether you're a regular golfer or a disc golfer. That is not the case at the proposed site. Number 4, McCormick Park, 12 Bridges to Ridgecrest Drive and Neesonen Valley Drive. Extremely generous amount of space, even further spacing from homes, plenty of trees and shrubs for obstacles, even more opportunities for elevation holes, which is not available again at the current proposed site. Number 5, south of 12 Bridges, east of Joyner Parkway, zoned as an open space, more spacious than the proposed spot, further away from homes, blank slate for adding off-course obstacles, some slope, more slope than the current proposed location for more disc golf enjoyment. Number 6, south of East 8th Street near Auburn Ravine, many trees, spacious, little to no neighbors to disturb, a blank canvas for setting up obstacles and trees. Number 7, south of Virginia Town, west of Liberty Lane, zoned open space, many trees, very spacious, little to no neighbors to disturb. And let's see, seem to have a little bit of time left. I'd like to comment on promises that are being made by the proponents of the disc golf course. There's nothing magical about disc golf being able to alleviate things such as homelessness or increase our property values. Homelessness will not be remedied by this. Paid for police departments and local ordinances aren't solving this problem, but somehow disc golf will. Give me a break. Yeah. There are homeless encampments next to countless properties and financially managed disc golf courses all across our state. You'll see one at the Hagen Oaks Golf Course. Somehow, they're still there. Thank you.
All right. That is going to be good for, actually, before we move on, is there anybody online that would like to make a comment on any subject?
We have Kimberly Williams.
Okay.
Go ahead and unmute yourself, Kimberly.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I realized a lot of people have been talking about this. I'll make this short and sweet for you. I'm here today to talk about what makes Auburn Ravine Nature Preserve very special for the city of Lincoln. Many people enjoy walking, jogging, cycling on the paved trails through the beautiful, serene preserve. You rarely see anyone off the paved trails, leaving the surrounding space natural and free of damage. On a recent walk, someone said that the peacefulness is why they come here. Others enjoy adventures of looking for the salmon swimming upstream, bird watching, going for a bike ride with the kids, going for a run, or taking their dog for a walk or for a play date. And then there are those moments when you walk and you sit on the bench and you listen for the movement of the water, the birds singing, and the leaves rustling in the wind. I've spoken with many other residents, and they too have expressed they love this nature preserve has to offer, and it has extra special great place for their kids and their grandchildren. There are 19 parks in Lincoln, and Auburn Ravine Nature Preserve is the only place like this. With its pristine open places, oak tree forests, and creek, it helps protect our watershed, our wetlands, and our wildlife. This includes the Chinook salmon, steelhead that swim upstream. It also offers homes for the burrowing owls and the swings and hawks. There's so much more to this unique ecosystem where the flora and fauna rely on each other, being cohesive and symbiotic. Having a nature preserve also allows for education, exploration for our young scientists, reduction in stress, and a place to appreciate life and a place to slow down. It also is a migratory place for our birds, our woodland ducks, beautiful egrets, and heron that live here. Otters too. This is truly a special place. We are asking you to keep this protected as a nature preserve for our children and our future. The city of Lincoln is growing so fast, and it's so nice to have a special place as this. Thank you very much.
Okay. I think we are good on this comments. If there's anybody else that would like to address the committee, I'll give that just a moment. And with that, let's go ahead and move on to our agenda. The first thing we need to do is approve the minutes of our last meeting. Do I have a motion to approve our minutes from September 7th?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from December 7th.
Thank you, Stephen. Do I have a second? Second, Dave. Okay, any comments or changes that need to be made to the minutes? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Great. Okay, now let's go ahead and get on with the rest of our agenda. If you look at the packet, the first thing that we have today is a presentation by the 12 Bridges Junior Rhinos. Chris Shoro, I assume you're speaking on behalf of the group, or is John here?
No, John couldn't make it, so I will step in.
Okay. Would you like to present at the podium?
Yeah, you can do that.
I know. So rude.
My personal cards. All right, how's it going today? So basically, who I am, I'm Chris Shoro. I'm on the board for the Lincoln Junior Rhinos Youth Football and Cheer Program. Been a part of this town since 1986. I went to all the schools here in town, was in every sports program as a youth in this town, and I'm highly motivated by helping our youth in athletics and being involved in all those programs around. So who we are, we're the 12 Bridges Junior Rhinos. We are in the process of becoming a nonprofit organization. I think it's been submitted already. We're about a couple months away from getting our exemption nonprofit status, and just one other step that we're going through in order to get this program up and running. Our issue is that we need a location within the city limits to have our practice facility. Back in May, the Vice President, John Schofield, contacted the city inquiring about potential locations, and we were told there was not enough space in the city to facilitate a new youth program. The program cited taking up the majority of the space were flag football and the large 1,500 player soccer teams within the city. It was suggested to us to reach out to the school district and use of those fields. And as we researched some of the field use fees throughout the district, we've come to find out that it's kind of financially not possible. Within the school district, the baseball fields, soccer fields, or softball fields are charged at $22 an hour. However, this fee for the baseball, softball fields are not conducted for a football program to practice on. Track field, similar to the 12 Bridges Middle School, large area with the track on it, that is $204 an hour to use. Football fields such as Lincoln High School or 12 Bridges High School, charge is $159 an hour to use those. And to use the football field in the evening time with lights is back to the $204 an hour. Only a track field with grass in the middle area is a possibility to use. It's so cost prohibitive that the association will not be able to afford the hourly rate to be able to use those fees unless somehow the school district provides a fee waiver from them. So as we go through this process, trying to reach out and figure out what our options are, that's kind of our last ditch effort at the end. Prospective numbers that we're forecasting for this program is 116 football players, 73 cheerleaders, and approximately 16 coaches. So there's a lot of guys to kind of fit in. We're looking at time frames, being flexible, alternating, whatever we need to do to get this up and running. The harsh reality with our program is that the Junior Zebra program, which has been a very successful program for many years in this town, has had a record year of enrollment with the growth of this city. So much so that players were told they had to leave or we were cut, where in the past those players were not cut unless it was a safety hazard as a player in the game of football. But many more kids this year had to be cut because of the rules within the leagues of how big the teams are allowed to be. So with team cheerleaders and football players, they either left the other youth programs outside of the city of Lincoln or just lost, didn't have any interest in continue on and playing the sport of football. There wasn't space for them. The goal of our youth sports program is to keep the kids here. We should not be telling our children in this community that we cannot facilitate their child's desire to play football or become a cheerleader because we can't find space for them. Our community keeps growing and there doesn't appear to be an end in sight. The opening of 12 Bridges High School has brought in the need for another program to facilitate the residents of this town. And we're here to do that. We've been working hard to fundraise for over the last year. Lincoln Youth Football and Cheer, which who we're operating underneath right now until we get our nonprofit status. We've been working for years forecasting, as I was a part of that program as well for many years before I came over to 12 Bridges, forecasting and looking ahead and saying, this is going to be a need. And so when it came to website domains and certain things that we wanted to make sure we captured so that somebody couldn't just come in and start this program that wasn't going to be ran the way that we like to see our programs run with honesty, integrity, and safety of our kids. We've been working hard as a board for the last year to fundraise to purchase all the equipment, as it's going to cost roughly about $100,000 to start up this program. Luckily, with the relationships and the people that we've worked with for years within the high school and the junior programs, we have some ways to do that, but we've raised almost $40,000 so far. And weekly, we're out there hitting the ground running, getting this community, and the community is stepping up and backing us. And we're excited to get this thing going. If for some reason we are not able to find a space here within the city of Lincoln with the reduced areas that we have in this town that need to get bigger, we are going to expand out and look to other cities around us. But one way or another, this program is going to get started this year, and we're going to move forward with it. And we're trying to come to you guys and let you know that we need something within the city limits for these kids. But yeah, so that's all I have to say.
Great. Committee members, any questions you might have?
So you're saying this year you're hoping, so 23
23.
23, summer of 23 is when the season would start.
And then what levels or how much, because you're saying 116 players. I'm familiar with Pop Warner, so I don't know the
So there's
classification.
4 levels on the football side. So there's your junior peewees, your peewees, junior midgets, and midgets.
Okay.
So essentially, your youngest class, the junior peewees, are 7, 8, so to speak. Peewees are 9, 10, and then midgets is like 7th grade, or junior midgets 7th grade, midgets 8th grade, and then they move on to high school.
In one team in each level, or you
Correct.
Or 2 teams?
One team. Yep, we can hold up to technically 40 athletes, according to the league that we plan on joining, which is the best league in this area which is the SAC, the Sierra Athletic Conference. And there's ways to work through. At some point, we run a PAR program, so every kid that's on the team ends up playing. It's actually a rule that if you don't, you forfeit the game and lose. So it's the participation and addition of all these kids that sign up is definitely pushed.
So how many do you plan on having?
Right now, it's looking around 116.
Is that with Lincoln still going? That's everybody?
Yeah, so we're completely separate, right? So we're using Lincoln Youth Football and Cheer so we can get this up and running. That's kind of the agreement with that board.
Where are you getting the 116 from?
We have set up an interest list over the last year and a half, and have allowed the community to go on and sign up and say, if this were to happen, are you interested in coming and signing up? And so we've been collecting names, numbers, emails, who wants to coach, who wants to be on the board, who wants to volunteer, all that kind of stuff, cheerleading.
How does it work so say Lincoln, you guys, there's 2 organizations obviously in Lincoln.
Correct.
How's that gonna work? Is people just join whatever one they want, or how does that work?
Essentially, the thought process would be is that if you plan on going to 12 Bridges High School, you would join the Junior Rhinos, and if you were going to be going to Lincoln High School, you would join the Junior Zebras.
Is there any regulation to that, or is it just that?
We're in the middle of working on that. We do have a boundary committee put together that's not finalized yet on agreeing between the 2 programs to work into that. So, we don't want to cause too many issues. If you look at other organizations that are in that league as well, if you look at Whitney High School in Rockland has the Junior Wildcats. Rockland High School has the Junior Thunder, and they have 0 boundaries that are put in place for that. And we've talked to both of them, and they don't seem to have too much of an issue, but it's definitely something that we're working through in our boundary committee.
Lincoln obviously right now is what, at Bosque?
Yes.
And they just pay for theirs, is it donate, or how does that work?
So the fee for the local youth organizations, which is classified as so if they have 100 kids or more and have 95% Lincoln residents, so they fit in that category, they pay $15 per player.
They pay 15 for what?
$15 per player.
It's a one-time fee, correct?
Yep. It's per season, yeah.
Yeah.
So the organizations that have 2 seasons, they pay twice.
Right.
Football has the 1 season, so they would just pay the one time.
Okay. So right now, the Lincoln Junior Zebras, they have access to city fields and they're paying $15 for the season.
$15 per player.
Per player.
I think they had 154 players this last year, so around 2,000.
Do we do similar for Little League, softball and soccer?
Yep.
Same charges?
I don't see why they wouldn't get that, with the exception of there's not facilities. That's the problem.
Yes. Yeah. Soccer grew by 150 kids last year. They're at almost 1,500 kids. They're bursting at the seams.
Softball is bursting. They need.
Everybody is. One of the options I presented to the Rhinos was sharing the field with the Zebras, because the Zebras practice 6 to 8. Back in the day when they used to use McBean Park with no lights, they practiced from 5 to 7. So it's possible that one organization could go 5 to 7, another one could go to 7 to 9. We have teams in all of the other fields. Soccer uses their fields till 9 o'clock. So that's a conceivable option, a feasible option. Another way I presented it was they could share the field, and one organization use half a field, another organization use half a field, so that the young guys, because with the 4 age groups, you got the 2 younger divisions would practice 5 to 7, and then the 2 older divisions would practice 7 to 9, so that you don't have 6, 7-year-olds out there till 9:00.
Yeah, I was a part of that program all the way back when they were at McBean still, was a part of it when they were on the first field closest to the road. That field was actually more feasible because they had the extra space up on top of the hill that didn't have the lights. And so that's where the younger kids kind of went up on top. And then when you move back to the back corner where the parking lot is, on that one field with the 4 programs, the space has gotten smaller as far as being able to spread out. And, I don't know how many are familiar with the game of football, but it's very hard to do what you need to do in a condensed area.
But we could definitely move them back to field 4, and that was kind of the plan anyways.
Yeah, I mean, one of our reasons why even though it's within the city limit boundaries, there are multiple families, multiple people who, when you're in the 12 Bridges community, would rather go and play over at Whitney High School, Junior Wildcats, as opposed to going to the far northwest corner of the town on the complete opposite side. And so we would like to be able to be in that 12 Bridges area, like the other programs are close to within their areas.
The only park that we have on that side of town is 12 Bridges Park.
Correct.
At 12 Bridges Elementary?
At 12 Bridges Elementary, yeah. And so if it's soccer uses it, they have anywhere from 8 to 10 teams practicing on it every Monday through Thursday. Friday, a lot of teams will practice Friday, so Fridays, I think there's 1 team out there. But every other night of the week, there's 8 to 10. And then if you take that away from soccer, then soccer doesn't have a practice field on that side of town.
Yeah, no, and one of the things that we've noticed over the years too is that a lot of the soccer fields that are dedicated for soccer, a lot of times there aren't teams that are going. So if it's dedicated for soccer, there's a lot of empty fields over in Foskett that aren't being utilized as well. And so I don't know what soccer has as far as a schedule.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a way to reach out and try to condense. I don't know if there's timeframes. We're open. We're not even looking for something with lights at this point. The way I look at it is all these other sports that practice without lights, the parents find a way to get their kids there, whether it's carpooling, whether it's riding their bikes, whatever the case may be. And we're open to that, as opposed, I know the Junior Zebras are real strong on using lighted fields. Whereas right now, we're going to take what we can get that facilitates and meets the needs of the programs to succeed. So like you said, with soccer growing, everyone can see it, even though the housing market's slowing down, the houses are still being built, people are still coming in, 156 bursting at the seams for the Junior Zebras, and we're in our inaugural year. And I think that this number is low, mostly due to the fact that there's a lot of people that are waiting to see that, here we go, sign up now, the season starts on this date. And I think we're going to see a very high increase in our numbers.
Chris, I got a question over here by Jim.
I don't mean to be impolite because it's a valid issue, but non-agenda item. And I think that.
What's that?
We've got other items.
No, this is an agenda.
Agenda item.
Yeah.
I apologize.
That's okay. Going back to McBean.
So David asked about McBean. So when the Zebras, when the stadium was renovated and the Zebras went from there to Foskett, we've had a flag football program that has over 200 kids every season that we've been running since 2008. And so we used Foskett for practices, but when the Zebras moved there, we moved to McBean. We moved that program to McBean. The other option I presented to you guys too was 12 Bridges Middle School. They have the track field, which $200 an hour is ridiculous. I don't know what they're charging for that middle field, but that's not park space. So the park ends
at the softball field.
So that field that's there is school district property. And so I don't know if that's a $22 an hour field or if it's $200 an hour.
It's the 200 one. And so to give you kind of a quick background of why the school district categorizes us in such where these fees apply to us, even though we're a nonprofit. Technically, in the school district's rules, nonprofits get free usage of the fields. However, because we collect a gate at the games, they then categorize us into a different category. The reason why we do collect a gate is because the school district does charge us over $2,500 for the field usage on a Saturday, all day, with the janitors and everything else, reconditioning of the equipment, the certification to keep these kids safe with the equipment. There is a cost to run the nonprofit which is why that gate is also there. So it's like we're making the money as a nonprofit to keep everyone safe and to have a safe place to play. But then they categorize us.
Have you actually had a conversation with the superintendent about that? Because because I understand they have their fees and they set you at a for-profit even though you're nonprofit.
Right.
Because it's very clear. I mean, my kids played junior football all the way. I know reconditioning, the field use, all that.
Right.
You're not making money on it. You're just sustaining the program. So my question is, have you had a conversation with Carrie Callahan or somebody at the top level and not just, somebody looking at the fee schedule? Because I'm sure with having a conversation about it, they might be willing to work with you.
That is definitely in our line of, we're taking our paths that we need to get and have the information we need. Same question would probably be asked if we went there first, if we've talked to the Parks and Rec department.
Right, no, sure.
So that's kind of where we're at. So we've had that conversation and that's kind of been the answer. So we're like, okay, we need to cross our T's and dot our I's to get through this process to find something. I would love 12 Bridges Middle School track.
Yeah.
That is a perfect spot, aside from the lights, but give us that.
Not being used.
Nobody uses it. However,
It
like
doesn't-
I said,
It's not rocket science to understand that you're really a nonprofit and not for-profit. Taking the gate. And I just had another question just for curiosity. Does the league not do Mighty Mites anymore, or you just don't have that enough?
they do not.
They do not, okay.
Yep, we've kind of combined. So some of those younger kids, we used to be a fifth level, Mighty Mites with the little kids running around with the helmet, knocking them over on their own, which is really fun to watch. But they kind of went away with it, a bunch of the area teams. It's one of those things with those smaller kids like that. A bunch of the teams weren't able to field those teams. And so we're like, let's just combine those little kids.
Junior, okay.
Yep.
The other thing too, that point I want to make is that the Junior Rhinos are going to be a feeder program into the 12 Bridges High School. Chris told me he's a football coach at the high school. John, who was going to speak, he's also a football coach at the high school. It would be in their best interest to make sure this program's successful because it's going to lead to the success. You guys are creating a philosophy at the lower level that's going to carry into the high school. So it's
we put it in
district's best interest to make sure you're successful.
That's why I said they should have a conversation with the school and actually talk to somebody who can make a decision for you.
Have them participate. I can't imagine they won't want to participate in being your feeder program for that.
So, I mean, it's kind of like with the parks and stuff in town too, right? Everybody's getting bigger and we're running out of room for a lot of these programs, not just for something like us. I wish the school district put an emphasis on athletics and how important it is for the mental health and helpful make these kids a productive member of society and work with that, but they don't. And that's a frustrating thing on the other side that they don't look at it that way. They look at it as we're just football coaches who want to have good football teams, and it's unfortunate that it's looked at that way, but.
So I'd like to point one issue out. I mean, I hear what we're saying is that we're out of room and that the program should go to the school district and hopefully make that work. But we don't require that of any other local program. And so that's a little concerning that basically we're telling one of the local teams, sorry, your city parks are all done. You have to figure out another way. And we need to be prepared that if the district doesn't give the answer we hope they do, it is our responsibility as the city of Lincoln to find a spot for another youth sports program.
No different than Little League, telling Little League to go, they feed into the high schools as well.
Right.
So.
Torpor does not, their baseball program, they have one field, 3 teams.
Yeah.
They're talking sending these guys to the softball field, 200-foot fence that are like junior. That's not.
All right.
So it's possible they may say no.
Stephen, did you have something?
Yeah, just quickly. So right now your concern is practice fields, right?
Correct.
So games we played at the high school?
Correct. Okay. Yep. And we'll pay the high dollar ticket to play there. Yeah.
And to your point, I don't think anybody is saying if the school district says, no, you're out of luck. We want to find a way for you. My thought was just let's ask them and see if we can work it out and find a solution for you.
I appreciate what you're saying. You're hoping that's an option.
Yeah, and if not, we'll figure it out.
Checking before you do.
Can we influence the school district to help with maybe the junior high location at all?
I can talk to Carrie. I'll talk to Carrie.
It's a great location.
Yeah, I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to Carrie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's, it's kind of one of the steps that we kind of, like, within the city in itself, between the school district, every athlete, like I said, 95% of these athletes are Western Platte Unified School District students. And same with baseball, same with soccer. And it's like, these are your students, these are your youth that are growing this community, growing up here. And as somebody who also did the same thing, I love living here. And I think that needs to be a priority in all aspects of the city and school district.
I want to point one more thing out. So we just went to RFP for design for phase 3 of Jimenez Park, which is going to be the long field, the soccer field. The plan has always been for that field, for the zebras, junior zebras, to move from Foskett to that when that's done, which will open up another field at Foskett. But we're still, we're probably looking fall of not next year, but the year after.
Probably.
Yeah.
On Aiken, just.
So we. 24. Yeah, more than likely.
That part of our updates, because I'd love to hear more about what's going on with Jimenez. Not this.
I agree that Aiken just had their field.
Aiken's field just got.
Right.
Yeah, I know that one is. Okay, any other questions or comments for this agenda item before we keep moving on?
So you guys plan on running a program this year?
It's going to happen. Yep. Yeah,
Chris,
looking for help. Thank you.
Great, awesome. I don't have any other action items that that are on the agenda. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and move on to staff updates. And we have a variety of things we're getting updated today on. And so Sean is making.
I can.
Scott, you are?
Yeah, Sean.
And Nathan, you are here. If you would like to go to the podium in case somebody has any questions, you can answer for us. So if you guys remember a couple of months back, Nathan presentation on BMX and the importance of BMX. We were tasked to try to find a location that may work, and we think we found one at the old city landfill site at Virginiatown Road, right at Hungry Hollow. It's a 6-acre site, fenced off currently. So I met with Nathan out there, and they think the site would be viable for their needs. So in discussions with Sean, we would like to, present that as an option for the Park and Rec Committee to look further into it and see if you're in agreement with the location.
Well, that's good, interesting news. I'll open it up to the other committee members first.
Yeah, where was it? Yeah.
So Virginiatown Road, it's probably, if you're familiar with that area, right at the dead end of Hungry Hollow Road, there was an old city landfill that's been there for years. Blank slate, has a chain link fence around it, about 6-acre site.
I think there's a crude BMX bikes thing out there right now, is it right?
Probably, there's down in the creek.
Yeah.
Interesting to this site is that Jim Hoffler, who used to be on this committee, Sean had been discussing a trail that would run along the northern side of the ravine and potentially the backside of this site, having a little nature kiosk of some sort that would invite folks down to be able to walk north side of the ravine, east and west of where this location would be.
How big are we talking?
Well, I think this site would be the 6-acre site.
Acres?
The track, we 6 to 8 acres. We don't need that much for the track itself. It's really for the parking, and we're a #1 track in the nation. So we host national events. We host the Northern California State Finals. So we need that parking for the big events. We probably would do 3 to 5 big events a year, like that.
And this site has.
We would use all that space. And then even we talked about, there's a couple private owners on either side of that.
Correct.
That we could potentially talk to about overflow parking if we even needed more than that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Who's going to pay for it?
Well, we're prepared to do all that legwork ourselves. We have a nonprofit in place. We've actually been socking money away with the thought that we were going to move. So our first question would be, is there a piece of property that would work for us? And could we lease it? And could we afford the lease? And then from that point forward, we would do all the legwork to figure out how we're going to make it happen.
Okay, so I don't think that would be our job right now, is to get into all that nitty-gritty detail.
Yeah.
But what you're asking the committee is essentially, do we think that's a good idea to propose looking.
Yeah, and I think I asked Scott, I mean, one of the issues, where we're in Roseville now, we've been in Roseville since the mid-80s at the same location on 648 Riverside Avenue, right off the freeway there. The problem with that property, there's two issues. We don't have a lease. We've been month to month for the last 36 years. The property's been in escrow, out of escrow, in escrow, out of escrow. Every time they do that, we don't know what's going to happen. That's number one. Number two, it's a floodplain, and that was the biggest concern. I wanted to make sure there weren't any zoning limitations. So where we're at now, we have all kinds of issues. Like if we want to pave a turn, we got to go to the city. We may not be able to do it. There's oak trees with branches that fall and crash on the cars. It's super expensive to trim those for obvious reasons. There's all kinds of weird things that we can't do with the elevation. And when you're building a track out of dirt that goes up and goes down, that's problematic. So finding a location that doesn't have any of those kinds of limitations where we could lease it and feel confident that it will be there for the next 10 years, 15 years, whatever, that's the primary objective. So as long as we can do what we need to do and get some sort of commitment to stay there, then that's all we really need.
So you said lease. So essentially we'd be allowing you to build it, do it, and then you're leasing it from the city of Lincoln?
Correct.
Okay. So we're not owning it, correct?
That would be, we're certainly willing to go that route if that's what we need to do. If the city of Lincoln wanted to have some involvement in it or something along those lines, we'd be more than open to that too. But we realize that this is infancy, and if we had to do it all ourselves, we're ready to do it.
And I think at this point in the discussion, there's no reason to go down that path. You're just asking about, do we think that's a good idea for a spot?
Yeah.
Committee members, any other comments?
So you're comfortable with the location that has the potential to meet the.
Yes.
Everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Safety concern?
What's that?
No,
Safety concern with that?
No.
no.
I have a raised hand by James
Hoff.
Like, for him to make a comment.
Yeah. Okay. I think I've unmuted the microphone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, James.
Okay. One thing that comes to mind here in this discussion, first of all, what Mr. Boynton said is correct. Sean Scully and I did talk about this previously, and we could see a situation where the nature center that we're talking about for the dump area could be down towards the creek, and the BMX operation could be more up towards Virginiatown Road. So we think that could be worked out where both uses could be done there. But of course, for the nature center or the BMX operation, somebody with the city should contact the water board that originally mandated that capping of the dump to make sure that either one of those uses is compatible with their guidelines for a capped dump.
Okay.
Incidentally, what's kind of interesting about this, there's a lot of BMX tracks. In fact, the one in Santa Clara, California, that's actually on an old dump.
Yeah.
So it's a common use of the.
Seems like a decent way to use it. Landfill. Yeah. Once
You're not impacting the existing soil you're building up.
Yes.
Essentially.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay, cool. Any other comments, questions? Go ahead.
I have a question. You said how many acres is that area?
It's approximately 6. Yeah.
How many acres were you going to use for AMAX you mentioned?
The track itself would be 2 acres, but we would need the additional acreage for cars, for parking.
So I'm just thinking disc golf. Don't have a lot of parking. It's an idea.
Okay. Anybody else? Now, do we need are you asking for a vote of approval for the committee today?
I think that's what we would need.
Okay, well, that seems like an appropriate thing for the committee to do, especially since it's on the agenda.
One more question. Do you have concessions out there too? So would you build like a concession stand and bleacher seats, or what do you do?
We would have bleachers. Yes, we have concessions. Yeah.
Restrooms?
Yeah. We also actually bring in food trucks.
Great.
Yeah.
Steven asked about restrooms.
Porta potties.
Okay.
Yeah, but if we had a piece of property, like, again, we can't have a permanent structure because it's in a floodplain.
Mm-hmm.
So everything we get, even our office is a mobile office. If we could actually build facility on there, a bathroom facility, we would do that.
You have these drop-in bathrooms.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, great. Dave?
Motion.
What?
Motion?
Would you, okay, go ahead. Would you, a motion to approve that
We recommend that they move forward with it.
okay, do I have a second from the committee?
I second it.
I second. Before we vote, I think James is raising his hand again. Is there another comment, James, or was that from your first one?
No, I have another comment here, trying to make this thing work. You can hear me now, I think, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I would think having a vote on this would have to be something that was noticed ahead of time so the public would know it was coming up for a vote. I think it's a little early to vote on this. You know, if I was the committee, I'd want to see more detail as to how this thing would be laid out, how the parking would be handled, what the number of events would be in the period of time that might affect the neighbors nearby. So.
Well, James, I would point out that that's not really the role of this committee. That is what this committee is basically doing is saying, yeah, we think that's a good idea. Go ahead and take it to the other people that can say yay or nay. We are not the final say on these things. We're basically a group of citizens who come together and say, yeah, we think that's a good idea. City council, we approve of that, and we would like you to make that decision. And so I do think it's appropriate that we can do that because we do have a quorum here tonight that if we approve, we can. Because again, we are not the final say on this. All we're saying is Parks and Rec Committee says, good idea, keep going.
Yeah, I know you're not the final one, but there is an idea that this is a public meeting and that you should adhere to the Brown Act. And if you're going to have an action item, you're supposed to notice that ahead of time.
So the objection is that because it's under updates and not under action item on the agenda?
Correct.
Okay.
Do you have any counsel on that of whether we have an issue there?
Table it for.
Well, you guys can give direction to staff to bring it back again as an action item to make a recommendation to city council. But I think staff can probably begin moving forward without making a formal decision. Yeah.
Sure.
So we'll do.
Yeah.
Okay, well then we let me informally ask without doing an official vote. I mean, does the committee feel like we suggest we give them the okay? They got the blessing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well then we won't vote on it, but you got a blessing of our committee that at least keep moving forward.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thanks, Jim.
Let's keep moving on. Scott, do you have some maintenance projects?
Yes, first thing I wanted to remind everybody of is tomorrow night, 5 o'clock, the tree lighting in the plaza. They have activities from 5 to about 8:30. So if you're not doing anything, come down and see the tree lighting. Should be a fun event. And then I just wanted to update on some of the projects we have going. McBean Stadium project, the seating replacement is underway, and they're probably about 60% done. All the old is off and new is going back on, which is great. It's looking great.
Yeah, the picture looks good.
What's that?
The old grandstands, right?
The old bleacher, just the wood.
Little seats they put in the plastic ones are all.
No, the wooden bleachers.
Those will be replaced also with new, but we're also replacing all the wood on the bleachers. That should be done probably first week of January should be completed. Council on the 13th, we're going for matting replacement for Brown Park, Coyote Pond Park, and 12 Bridges Park. The fees came in a little bit lower than we anticipated, so we're able to add 12 Bridges Park into that CIP, that approved CIP budget. The Foskett Bleacher Shade Project is currently out to bid. That will be putting shade over all 8 bleachers at Foskett Park. So that's out to bid right now. Should maybe begin February timeframe, I think. Skate park is now up and going at Half a Jimenez basketball court.
Awesome.
And people are having fun, so that's super cool. A lot of people have been out there, so that's good to see. Aiken Park is pretty complete at this point. I think we're just they'll keep it closed for the remainder of the maintenance period. We got shade structures were delivered yesterday, so that'll begin going in. Same contractor is doing the bleacher project at McBean that is doing this project. So as soon as they finish the bleachers, they'll head over and start doing the shade in the picnic area and over the playground. Do you have a question, Steve?
Question on Aiken. Was there something in there that they were going to add more ADA recreational devices in the park?
There was a couple small items, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So have they been installed? I walked through there today and I didn't.
Nope. I think they came with the shipment of stuff.
Okay. Okay. So that'll be part of the shade.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Correct. Any other questions on Aiken? Meadowlands Park should be open in January 1, which has a great ADA piece to that where they can go in and glide on they can sit down and glide on a little thing. It's super cool. If you haven't seen that, take a drive over there. It's really cool. Village 11 Park up in 12 Bridges is almost done. I'm not sure. I would say it's probably our coolest park.
Can we have a name for that? Didn't we vote on that?
Sure.
Okay, now it's Village 11 Park.
Where is it?
The name of the street, I don't know. You go into East Ridge Drive, take a couple lefts, and you come right up to it.
Oh.
Yeah.
In the new neighborhood, back up.
Correct.
On the other side of the hill?
Yeah. I'll ship out the address to everybody.
That'd be cool. I'd love to check it out.
But it's extremely beautiful. It sits in a swale, has a wonderful playground. And actually the new trail that goes from Ridgecrest all the way down to Coyote Pond Park. This park you exit the back of the park and it ties you into that trail system. It's just a beautiful site. Absolutely beautiful.
And you don't have a name for it yet?
Well, I'm not sure.
I think we do.
10 Park.
I remember a committee meeting, it was presented.
Yeah. There might be.
That's all right.
I'm not sure. I have to do some background.
Wayton Park?
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe one day. And not that it matters much to this group, but as a facility, but we had a firehouse deck project that we were doing. We're finishing that up, replacing the deck on the firehouse by McBean Parks. That's almost done. That's about all. I think the group knows, but between our parks and our facilities, we have 25 CIPs I'm doing this year for improvements. 12 of those are on parks themselves. 13 are on our facilities, which is huge. Never had that ever. It'd be a busy year.
That is, since I've been on the committee, that is a
lot of stuff.
Perfectly honest.
Up the community center.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you get that finished, the community center? Oh,
No, but it's in the midst of,
Okay.
a lot of them are out right now to bid.
Awesome.
But I'll go through real quick if you'd like and tell you the 12 for the parks, which is a pickleball court, which was not really a CIP, but we had to turn into a CIP from, it was approved to council. We had a Fosket post and cable project, which is going to be putting post and cable around the Fosket fields. They stopped doing donuts on the fields and destroying the field. One is the McBean bleacher repair. One's laser grading the softball fields at Fosket and Wilson Park. McBean bandstand electrical, which will be including people will be able to go out and plug their bands in moving forward, which is great. The matting that we were talking about earlier for Brown Park, Coyote Pond Park, 12 Bridges Park, the matting replacement. Joyner Park shade and picnic area. Soccer field renovation is going to be on soccer field 1 and 2 at Fosket Park. And then the Fosket bleacher shade project. So that's the 12 for the parks.
when is the bandstand at the park at McBean on schedule? When will that be done?
We don't have it on schedule, but my plan is to have these all done by the end of our fiscal year.
Okay, yeah, as long as the bandstand's done by the next 4th of July, we're golden.
Yeah. That would be
okay, perfect.
My goal was to have them all done. Perfect. And when I say my goal, it takes a team of people. It's not my goal. I just,
of course,
facilitate it, and our engineering group and everybody's involved. So of the 13 facilities, one is the community center upgrades, which includes this would be at Doug's office, recreation office. It's going to be new flooring, wainscoting in the entry, and painting inside and some other stuff. We have a police department. We have a server room upgrades, break room upgrade, parking lot design, and they want to move their parking lot, would be north of their back gate on the other side of the PG&E little substation right there. They're going to extend a parking lot over there for parking. They have an AC upgrade project at PD. We're going to be doing roof repairs at McBean Park, be the little outbuildings outside of the pavilion area. There's a little bathroom by the old bathroom, I should say, by the rifle range. That'll be in that area. Putting new HVAC at the pavilion. Those are 20-something years old and very inefficient. So that'll be a great upgrade for that facility. AstroTurf will be going down to Bierman's Plaza, so the lawn will come out, and AstroTurf will be put in its place, which will be great. That it gets trampled all the time from events down there, so that will be a really good benefit to that location. City Hall paint, so they'll be painting next to City Hall. They'll be doing the same thing at the 12 Bridges Library and the Pavilion. And the plan will be to try to coordinate these 3 locations plus the community center interior paint project as one, so we get better price for having 4 of them bid as opposed to each individually bid. And in the Pavilion, we're getting new flooring and kitchen upgrades in the Pavilion. And then probably one of the biggest would be the design of the new chamber council upgrades, which we're considering putting the council chamber first floor city manager here at City Hall. So that's just designed this year, but it would probably be moving for next year. So that's quite a few projects and a lot going on right now in the park.
It sounds like it.
That'd be great.
Great. Thank you for the updates. Let's go ahead and move on to our next item, which is pickleball.
Yeah, so the only update I have with this, so at our September meeting, this committee made a recommendation to council to approve the pickleball concept at McBean Park, which would require $160,000 in funding. So that went to council on the 25th of October, was approved for the full 160,000. And then if Scott has any update on where we are with that?
Probably first week of January, it'll hit the street.
And we're doing it on the spot that was the old skate park, right?
Correct.
Cool.
Hit the street, you mean it'll be done?
No, it'll be out for bid.
Out for bid.
Yeah, we'll have to go to bid for.
Gotcha.
What's the timeline?
When it'll be ready?
Mid-February.
Wow. Cool. It's always nice when we can show that we're building parks and making it better for everybody.
Agreed.
Any other comments or questions about pickleball? Cool. Recreation programs, Doug?
All right, so the update's in your packet, but I did want to highlight a couple things. So our youth basketball league is getting underway. The first part of November, we spent with tryouts and drafts. Teams have been formulated. Invitation's gone out to all the teams. They start practice next week. They start playing the first Saturday in January, on January 7th. And then that program will run through the first Saturday of March. We are almost back to we have 585 kids signed up. I don't know if you remember, but last year we had to limit it to about 200 kids because we only had access to the community center gym. Schools weren't letting us in yet. And then the year prior to that, we weren't able to do it because of COVID. So we're almost back to our pre-COVID numbers, which is pretty exciting.
So that's an interesting connection. So we have a recreation program that uses school facilities on a regular basis. Are we charged anything for that by the school?
We have joint use agreements for certain facilities, which is at Foskett, Lincoln Crossing Elementary, 12 Bridges Elementary, for use of their multi-purpose rooms. And at 12 Bridges Middle School.
That's a city rec, not a private rec.
Is that what the issue is?
Yeah.
That couldn't be an issue with the Rhinos?
We're sticking around private.
Correct.
What about Little League?
Rhinos wanted to run their program through the city.
Well, but is Little League and soccer the same?
Little League has its own fields.
No, those are city fields.
I guess they use school field.
I mean,
Well, they
don't really use school though.
They have to pay, if they use a school facility, soccer and Little League, they have to pay.
They have to pay.
Yep.
Well, darn.
It's surprising to me that it's that expensive for the school kids and their own kids.
I would agree.
I don't
Their own
understand
feeder
that.
program.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
I would agree. Okay.
So then also we had our inaugural floating pumpkin patch at the end of October on the 29th. And there's some pictures of the event in the update. It's pretty cool. We had 60 participants. Basically, the pumpkins go in the pool. The kids go in, they swim in, they get their pumpkin, come out, they decorate. There's a decorating station. And we had, Fowler Nursery donated over 100 pumpkins for this event. So I want to recognize them. And then also the Lincoln Community Foundation donated funds to cover the decoration supplies. So that was, we should be running that on an annual basis. It was pretty successful. It'll probably just get bigger. And then on Thanksgiving Day, we had this would be our fifth annual turkey trot. The first two, we started and stopped and ended at the parking lot of Home Depot. And then third year was COVID, so we did that virtual. The last 2 years have been at 12 Bridges Park, and it has been a great location. The one concern there was parking, but we had the most ever this year. We had over 500 participants. There's plenty of parking. People park along the street there on Eastridge. It works out perfect to where, and it's a great trail system and it's beautiful and it's a perfect, Denise was able to come up with a perfect loop that is 3.1 miles. And so it was a great event this year. And so.
Did a fundraising.
To Denise for putting that on. I forgot to read the mirror.
Is the Turkey Trot a fundraiser event or?
Yeah, so we take 20% of the proceeds and we put it to our Mayor's Cup Scholarship Fund. And then the rest of it just goes to pay for the event. You know, all the shirts and the medals and everything else.
Nice.
That's great.
Awesome. Any other updates?
Recreation guide for our winter spring guide will be coming out mid-December. A couple weeks, about probably another week or two. And that'll cover programs starting January 1 through the end of May. And then the last thing we have a new camp coordinator. So Courtney Bishop, who was our camp coordinator the last year and a half, couple summers, left after this last summer. So Elise Pitchley, who had been our office assistant, but has a recreation background. She's a rec major. She had experience in college in recreation and has done so much in the last year and a half that she's worked for us with facility rentals and community classes and a bunch of other program areas. She applied and was offered the position of camp coordinator. So she will be. She's actually officially in that title now. She's been out working pretty much part-time. She's been out on disability since April, but she is cleared by her doctors to come back in January. So she'll be running that program next summer. So.
Excellent.
Wanted to let you guys know that.
Some big shoes to fill because those were ran very well back when we were allowed to those years. So.
Right.
Cool.
Right. And then the last thing is it's not on the agenda, but we do have some terms expiring this month. So Dave's seat is expiring. Dennis Clear's seat is expiring. Tim Manello and Janet. Unfortunately, 3 of them aren't here, but I just want to thank you guys for your service. I understand that Tim, Janet, and Dennis will not be coming back.
I did. I'm going in for one more.
Yeah. So when we come back in March, in our next meeting, we'll have 3 new members. We'll also need to nominate and vote for new chair, vice chair. So, just keep that in mind. You might want to step up and that. I'll probably.
The guy gets it.
Make a motion for Dave.
Actually, I put my name back in, but they told me several times it is not guaranteed. They still got to figure that out. So that's why I'm being extra cautious right now.
But those that were on that aren't coming back, even though they're not here, I just want to. Publicly thank them for their service to the city and all the hard work.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thanks for mentioning that. Hand raised on Zoom. Go ahead, James. Is it again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to say, what a great idea! The floating pumpkin patch. What an amazing, fun, unique thing. Thank you, Park and Rec Department. What a great idea.
I would agree, James. That is pretty cool, and as far as I know, pretty unique. If we stole from somebody, don't mention it.
Right. And locally sourced. Thanks to Fowler Nursery. What more could you ask for? Yeah.
Very good. Okay, you good with all your updates? Yep. Okay. Jim, you had something you wanted to bring up?
In 2 minutes, I want to talk about looking ahead to 2023 and a new grouping. And I think it's time that we maybe schedule a study session to figure out better where we are. First of all, council expectations, not sure what they are. Staff expectations, staff has needs. There's a lot going on, more than I've ever seen. It just.
When you say study session, you mean for the committee members?
Yeah. And when I say that, talking about maybe clarifying those expectations, can we get it done with quarterly meetings or do we need to meet more frequently? That's a question that has to be asked. The past year, the Adopt a program, park program disappeared. The inspection of city facilities did not occur. We didn't meet with the presidents of the various leagues to find out what their concerns were for Little League softball, soccer, football, etc. It's pretty apparent the staff is understaffed at work. Good example, with the turkey trot last year, 5 people to work it. This year, 3 people working it. I mean, there's so much going on. I'm amazed that we're doing as well as we are, quite frankly. And I think that Doug's load, he's carrying a regular workload, plus dealing with the issues here involved in the committee. I think it's time to step back, take a look at what we're doing, and make sure we feel comfortable with it in 2023.
Okay. Well, I think that's a great idea. And the fact that we're going to have at least 3 new members, that'd be a great thing that we can talk about doing once we get that new members in. Because, I mean, I have been around long enough that a lot of those things I remember when I joined, we were doing those. And I was really impressed. And we should talk about, should we continue to be doing them? And if so, whose responsibility? And really, what Jim's pointing out is this, we had a group that was really doing a lot of, I would say, above and beyond committee work. And I think it would be a great idea to have that discussion, Jim, with this kind of next group that wasn't around back then. And then we can talk about it with the new group of what we think is feasible, what it may not be, and whether we should be implementing it. I mean, a great idea.
Yeah, and a comment on that, being the new guy this year, I had no idea what this role was about or anything like that. So I think, I don't know if it happens during the interviews or and I don't know if we can get together as a committee and just kind of explain what the role is and what we do and, how we, work with the community and staff. But I know the whole Brown thing, and if that's something we can, if that can even be done, meeting.
Well, that's a great point. And to that point, it kind of goes into our next issue. Is our next meeting is supposed to be March 1st. And the new committee members will be joining January 1st?
Probably mid-January.
Mid-January? So perhaps we could look at doing a special.
Like a workshop.
Yeah, a study session for committee members in February, so that when we get into that first March one, we prepare the next group a little better than what we might have. Yeah, and Dave probably as well. Okay. So, well, I would be okay with doing that if we can set up a date in February. I mean, I'd love to have you the same people who are here today there as well. Would you guys be amenable to setting something up in February that's more of a learn what you're doing type thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you mind facilitating as far as offering a date to the group, and then we'll agree, or
I call not it.
Suggest one?
I'll find a date. I'll coordinate with you guys and set that up.
Thank you.
I would suggest we could find something mid-February. Mid to early February would be really ideal, probably. Well, for me, but.
Okay.
Excellent.
Are we thinking during business hours, after hours?
I would assume probably around the same time. I mean, we all have regular.
Retired anytime.
Most people have jobs though, so probably same time you would have a.
Yeah, but yeah, I think an hour meeting, 5 o'clock, I think that'd be great.
Okay, cool.
Maybe we'll see all the committee.
Yeah, that'd be, yeah, if we could really, make an emphasis to get the new folks there, for sure.
Sure.
Okay, so we'll set that up for mid to late February, mid to early February. And then March 1st is our next date. We're agreeing that, and same time, same back gate, or, all that.
Back channel.
Yeah, that's
Back channel.
right here. Okay. Anything else before we adjourn our committee?
No.
Thank you for the participation from the community and for community members and city council and for Parks and Rec Committee, and appreciate it. And with that, I wish you all a happy holidays and Merry Christmas.
Yes.
All right.
You guys.
Good job, Dave. Good job.
It is.